All right, y'all, back to work. Fantastic job today. Got that beautiful range rotation trade we talked about in last night's video. Hope you guys banked a bunch of profit on that this afternoon. Now, boy, it looks like these buyers are gearing up for a breakout higher. And this one little clue from this afternoon's chart that tells me there might be a hidden bear trap, actually two hidden bear traps. That might be where the big money is made on Thursday morning. So I want to cover that big clue we saw this afternoon, give you guys a roadmap to bank some more profit on some bear traps tomorrow. This will be a fantastic video. Entries, exits, the entire game plan in tonight's video lesson. So charts are ready. Enough of the intro. As always, thanks for tuning in, watching our videos. Let's roll those sleeves up and go make some more moolah on what should be a fantastic Thursday morning. S&P SPY ready to go tonight. Nasdaq triple Qs are ready. I have 3 clues on these charts telling me where I think the money is made tomorrow. The first clue is right here on the hourly time frame. I like to use the hourly chart as an overall directional filter. And right now, everything looks pretty bullish here still. We talked about this last night quite a bit, didn't we? It's a bull range on the S&P. We're trying to rotate off the low of that trading range. A little bit different in the Nasdaq right now, kind of a bearish range, overall bull market, of course, and the buyers trying to rotate off the low of this range right now. We talked about this last night, so nothing new here. The buyers are definitely in control here of the overall momentum. That's our first clue and our directional bias for tomorrow. The second clue is over on our calendar for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a Thursday of a short holiday week, so a lot of news tomorrow. The big news tomorrow morning, though, is that ISM Services Index. We know the services sector, the labor aspect of the employment market has been the biggest trigger for inflation, right? So ISM services, that's our big number for tomorrow. Remember, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Anytime we see 10 o'clock news, you best be paying attention. Second clue for tomorrow is keep your eyes on the 10 o'clock hour with the ISM services tomorrow morning. Third clue right now, the most important clue now, is down on our tick charts, right? We use the hourly chart for our directional filter. Let's drill down to some tick charts right now. Tick charts are based on volume. They're based on transactions. They make entry timing a whole lot easier. And by the way, if you're watching for the first time right now, that is a 7,000 tick chart, upper left-hand corner. And that moving average right there is the only indicator we use. It is the 21 EMA. There's one more big clue here on these tick charts. And you probably could say there's 3 clues here on these tick charts. There's 3 ranges on this chart right now. First range is the range below us. Remember, ranges love to break out and then pull back. That is what we would call unfinished business in our trade room. That's a very big clue, that breakout pullback just below us here. The second range is this range right here. Now, as I said earlier in the intro here in tonight's video, boy, that beautiful pendulum swing, the amount above, the amount below, that easy bear trap and that squeeze back up again if you watched last night's video. This range wants to rotate going higher, and because we're an overall bull market, it's going to want to punch and break out going higher. The third clue, and what might be the most important clue, and where that hidden bear trap is showing up right now, is that little tiny range down there, right? That little range we saw this afternoon. Now, again, we know that anytime we see a breakout, we like to get breakout pullbacks off of that trading range. I really like that whole area. I like a lot for tomorrow. Now, again, this range we're trying to rotate, right? Trying to rotate off the low right now. And so I have a couple different trades. In fact, I got 4 different entry tactics I want to talk about tonight if we go higher. We'll cover that a bit later on the Nasdaq. But right now, though, one of my favorite trades here for tomorrow, I love the idea of buying a bear trap down here around that previous trading range that I mentioned earlier. I would love to get this to rotate lower, get down in that breakout pullback zone, and just like we saw this afternoon, right? I'm not going to blindly buy down there. I would love to get that moving average coming over, get those bears to come in and get trapped in here, and use what's basically a bear trap pattern. Bears once, bears twice, and trap those bears in to complete that rotation going higher, because the amount below, the amount above, that should be where these buyers are trying to go, right? So one of my favorite trades here for tomorrow is a basic bear trap off that breakout pullback zone. Now, I would not complain at all if we made another big leg going lower. Now, this would be my favorite location for tomorrow, because this will open up a lot more trading opportunities. For example, right, again, this is that breakout pullback zone off that range below us. Now, what happens is if we see a big move down, now we have all of this space to work with as it rotates back off the low of that trading range. What that means to me is yes, I can look for a bear trap down here. Again, I'm not gonna blindly buy down here because I don't know how far it will go, right? It might be a bit lower than that. What I do know though is this is not a good place to be selling. It's a range above us. Ranges love to rotate back and forth. This is not a good spot to be selling. Great spot for a bear trap. So once those bears try a couple times, then I can use their stops. And think about this, right? If you're caught short, if you get stopped out of a short trade, you buy your way out, right? So sellers become buyers on a bear trap like this. Now, one of the reasons why I love this area is because now we have all that space to work with up overhead. As it rotates going higher, this is now where we can add to our winner. As this price starts to move higher here, I'm going to watch very closely for a shallow pullback and a higher high in price. This is where the setup occurs. It's a shallow pullback. It'll barely miss the moving average, get a higher high in price, and that's going to be where I add to my winner. So I love the idea of the bear trap and the add-on. And again, we know that the way ranges work is the amount below the range, the amount above the range. That will give us an idea for where those final targets will be, just as we saw today, right? The amount above, the amount below. That technique works for both entries and exits on the opposite side. Now, as I promised earlier, I do want to talk about going higher here because we may not get that deep pullback right now. But here's a couple of variations just in case we don't get this kind of perfect failure into add-on going higher here. For example, every once in a while, we'll get that nice strong run down, but we don't get that bear trap down there. We don't get the squeeze going higher. Every once in a while, it'll make that run lower, and there's so many buyers down here, it just whoop and runs right back up again. It basically V bottoms. Again, the goal is run it lower, get the bears trying a couple times and squeeze those stops like we saw this afternoon. But if we get a V bottom off of that low, remember, ranges want to rotate, right? They want to rotate back and forth like this. So if it V bottoms off that low, I make a small adjustment in two ways. One, I'm going to draw a trend line off the highs, use that trend line, find a channel off of that low. The hardest part about these V bottoms is not chasing after it. That voice in your head is going to tell you chase after it. But in my experience, your patience is rewarded when you stay patient for what I call the first test is the best test. What that means is I want to get below a prior swing, ideally, not required, but ideally below a prior swing. And I want to get really any of the entry patterns you guys are learning in our free video course. Any of the entry setups I can buy off the low of that channel, right? Could be a bear trap, like I'm showing you here. It could be a 2-try bear trap below the moving average once, twice. Again, any of the entry techniques. Only thing is, I'm not going to blindly buy that low. You'll learn those entry tactics in the free video course, which reminds me actually, because let's slow down for a second because we've covered a lot so far in this video. I know most folks watching right now, you guys know these entry patterns, you're making money with these already. But if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be a brand new language, a brand new strategy I'm talking about. Don't you worry though, I teach this entire roadmap. I teach all of these entry tactics in my free trading course. In fact, I have a ton of examples of V bottoms like this, bear traps, add-ons. Guys, the markets are way too good right now not to be making profits. What I'll do is I'll put a link up top here for you, upper right-hand corner. hit that link that popped up there. Take that free trading course, because the strategy I teach in that video series will teach you a simple trick we use in our members trade room that literally tells us exactly where the winning trades are going to be each day. More importantly though, let's face it, we make our money by timing good entries. So in that video class linked up there, I'm going to teach you my 4 favorite entry setups, traps, add-ons, a whole lot more. I want to help you guys time better entries, get your confidence back, get your P&L back in the green again. Guys, if you're still missing the best entries right now, if you've lost your confidence in your current trading strategy, don't delay. What are you waiting for? Hit that link that popped up there. Everyone loves all the trade examples I include in that short video series. The best part is it's completely free for you. Also be aware too, guys, I'm going to put a bunch of important links you'll need below the video in the description of the YouTube video. Start first on the free video course. Most folks start making money all on their own, all from that free video series. I'll put that link below. Don't forget, we trade together every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time in our trade room. I'll put that link below. Come join us and trade with us every morning at the opening bell. And if you're on Twitter or X, I post a ton of videos and charts and minds and stuff in between these YouTube videos. I post a lot on my X account through the day. Even the platform there, give me a follow. Again, all the details you'll need to learn more, start making money on your own. Join us in our morning trade room. Everything linked below the video tonight, description of this YouTube video. All right, so now you know where to go though if you're tuning in for the first time. Where do we leave off here? I mentioned earlier that love the idea of that breakout pullback, basically a bear trap, right, off that breakout pullback. Love the idea, right, of the run lower. And now hopefully we'll get a bear trap down here and back up again. But if we don't and it V bottoms, right, we know how to structure the entry on a V bottom. And again, I do want to talk about going higher here because I've got like 4 trades, different entry tactics I'm looking for as we go higher. But one last thing, we talked about this last night on the video. It is the month of September. And September it has a bit of a seasonality to it, right? It has a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy to it. We call it Red September. There's oftentimes a lot of selling pressure in the early parts of September. So I mention this because we may get something like this tomorrow. We may see a strong run down. We may get that nice, easy bear trap off of that low that we saw this afternoon, but we may not get that full rotation going higher here. Every once in a while, we'll see what's called a retest trade. Now, retest trades are money trades. We talk about this a lot in our trade room. If you guys are with us here every morning at the opening bell, we may see this thing pop up here, but we may not get that big run. It may make another leg going lower here. Now, I want to warn you, okay? This next leg going lower, this is where you must remember, these are the tick charts. Tick charts are not for direction. Tick charts are for entries. The hourly chart, that 60-minute time frame, that is for direction. So if we do get that strong run down, pop up, and another leg going lower, this is not enough to be a full-blown reversal. Remember, the hourly time frame is our directional filter, and right now we are bullish. So this will feel like a reversal, and I can almost guarantee you that as we go back into that range back there, great spot for a breakout pullback off that trading range. I can almost guarantee you though, there'll be a lot of rookie traders. Your emotions will be saying we should sell this. This will feel very uncomfortable. I'm going to warn you right now. But guys, retest trades. Retest trades are a gift to the buyers. Do it again. Bears once, bears twice, trap those bears in. And again, if we get a nice big move lower here, don't just let that bear trap go without adding more. The best way to make a lot of money in trading is to add to your winners. And that pattern right there, right? Love that sequence in our trade room. Bear trap, add on, and again, mark the amount below, mark the amount above. That will give us our targets up overhead. So some variations of that. And again, don't be surprised if these bears come out and really try to do some damage tomorrow, because again, it is the month of September. But love those retest trades. Okay, I've waited long enough now. Let's talk about if we go higher here, because again, there are quite a few ways in which we can trade this if we go higher. over on the Nasdaq. Nasdaq on the hourly time frame right now. And again, the Nasdaq is a little bit confusing, but when you think about it this way, it's a bull move up into a trading range. We know that ranges love to rotate, right? They rotate down, they rotate up, they rotate down, and we're now trying to rotate back up again. That range right there, right? What do ranges do? They like to rotate back and forth, up, down, and we're trying to rotate back higher again. So we know right now that even though this is a very bearish last couple days here, end of the month of August, we definitely know overall though, right? This is not an overall bear market, right? Up into a range, rotating back up again. Now, before I talk about the tick charts here and talk entries for tomorrow, if you're enjoying tonight's video, please help me grow this channel by hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe. I know we're all busy people these days. I know we're all busy folks these days. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching my videos. So as always, thank you guys so much for the likes, the subs, all the ongoing support. Now let's dive into those tick charts here. And let's talk entries here for tomorrow. You can see right away here on this Nasdaq 3 different ranges. One range is right there, begging for a breakout pullback. This range right here, what do ranges do? They like to rotate down, up, down, up, down, up, back and forth. And again, like on the S&P, and we talked about this in quite a bit of detail towards the end of last night's video. So if you watched all the way to the end last night, you had this game plan locked and loaded, that beautiful pendulum swing, run lower, the bear's trying, and the bear's getting squeezed, running higher here. I talked about earlier on the S&P chart, and you can see these are pretty similar here right now. I talked about how that little range right there be great there for a breakout pullback, but how much I love the idea of the big move down and the breakout pullback right there. Let's talk about now if we rotate higher. The same game plan I mentioned earlier on the S&P can be applied here right now to the Nasdaq. Now, we know right away here, get that measured move down. We'll talk about why that's important here in a moment. So we know right now the amount below that trading range is trying to rotate going higher here. There's a couple trades I want to talk about if we do get this strong rotation running higher. First things first, let's clean it up a little bit there. First things first, if we start making a run going higher here, because again, we're overall bullish on the higher time frame, a lot of times these rotations will keep on going, right? A lot of time because we're bullish, it'll keep on going, right? Look like what happened back here, right? There was a range right there too. Bullish range, we rotate off that low and it keeps on going through that pendulum swing. So that is the same thing we want to look for here for tomorrow. Now, if we get that rotation going higher here, I'm going to start looking for a very specific sequence for a breakout pullback. Now, there's 2 basic trades for a basic kind of a standard, dictionary definition of a breakout pullback. The first one is that shallow pullback, that higher high in price. The first one is that same add-on trade that I mentioned earlier, right? These trades come in lots of different locations, right? For example, if we ran lower, I mentioned earlier, I'd look for a bear trap down here, trap the bears in, and then as they run higher, right, we look at this as an add-on, right? It's a shallow pullback, higher high in price, and the add-on from there. So the same trade I would look for during that range rotation we mentioned earlier on the S&P is the same trade I will use going higher through that high here. So one trade is going to be that strong run up, that separation off that moving average, and it's really important we get that separation. The separation is the giveaway. Right? A lot of times it goes up and comes crashing right back down again, right? So it needs to get the separation. It needs that higher high in price. Without it, I don't have the confidence to get in below this low, right? Call it an add-on. It's basically a technical bear trap like I teach in the free video course. Now, you'll notice that measured move up there. Now, if you're a student of mine, you know this already, but if not, you should know this. Anytime we see a range breakout, the breakout leg is a measuring leg, okay? So think about a measured move, an A, B, C, D. The breakout leg is the measuring leg. Once we know how deep that pullback is, and again, you'll learn that entry tactic, strong green candle, closing above moving average, you'll learn that entry tactic in the free video series. But again, a breakout leg, measured leg, pin to that low, that now tells you now where to take our profit on that breakout, okay? Now, between you and me, I always go half size trades, half size on those types of trades because you're buying relatively high. Take that for what it's worth. That's my personal opinion on that one. You can always go full size if you want. But again, a bit more aggressive, right? Half size trade. Okay, now, once we take out that measured move now we stop buying, we sell out of the trade, and now we look for this range, right? Now we look for a breakout pullback. Now, a technical, kind of a classical breakout pullback is going to be a two-legged pullback. Doesn't need to be a two-legged pullback, right? Not required, but it's almost always the best ones are a two-legged pullback. Think about measured move, A, B, C, D. Now, I don't know how big that will be. It could be all the way here. It could be off that level. I don't know. I wish I knew more specifics about this, but this is the game plan, the fundamentals of how we're looking for tomorrow morning in our trade room. If you want the exact details, come join us, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and do with me, right? The bottom line is it's a one leg, two leg. Now, on these two-legged pullbacks, do not be afraid of one that goes more than a measured move. The best ones, okay, the best ones in all reality, they go more than an A, B, C, D, all right? If it goes more than a measured move, it's even better, all right? But the key is two legs are usually where the best ones come. Now, we're gonna use that range now for a breakout pullback. Now, just like we saw earlier, or like I described earlier, my goal here now is not to blindly buy down here, but to wait for that run to go lower, trap the bears in, and bam, right? Squeeze those stops running higher. So let those bears come back. Let them try once. Let them try twice. Then you know where their pain is. Then you know where their stops get hit. You can target their stops, buy into their stops. Now, very important. Where's the market trying to go now? Earlier, it was a measured move. Now it's back to retest that high. Okay. Now, my job now is before we go back to retest the high now, my job is to add more to that winner if I can get that add-on trade, right? That same, again, shallow pullback, higher high in price. That is where I want to add to my winner. So if there was a dictionary for chart patterns, this would be what I would call the perfect breakout pullback. It's a two-legged move going higher, right? Add-on going higher, one leg, two leg, measured move. It's a measured move, and again, a bit more would be ideal. Two-legged pullback, bear trap, add-on, and back up to retest that high. A classical, fundamental breakout pullback, at least the way that I see it. Now, some variations of this, right? Some variations here. Every once in a while, what happens is we don't get that same setup. Every once in a while, what happens is it'll break out and begin to grind and grind and grind, especially since we got that big range overhead right now on the Nasdaq higher time frame. Now, these are very simple. All we do is, there's two things you want to think about, actually three things. One is you want to find that channel off the high, mark off that big low, right? That's one thing. Two, find some prior swings. And again, like I said earlier, you want that first test is the best test. Could be a bear trap. It could be a pullback combo, a strength trade. I teach those, by the way, in more detail in the free video lessons. So start there first. That will give you guys all the terminology I'm talking about right now. So any of the entry patterns you guys are learning can be applied off the low of that. But now, very important now, the breakout leg is the pop leg. Okay, we call these pop and grind, right? Pops up and grinds, right? Pops up and grinds. We call these pop and grind breakouts. The pop leg is the measuring leg, okay? If you want to make more money, hold on to your winners longer, right? It's easy to say, but tough to do, right? Unless you know what the game plan is. So breakout leg, pop leg, right, is the measuring leg. Once we know how deep that pullback is, then we know where that runner is, right? These are very easy chart patterns. The hardest part though is that as we break out, you're not going to get that that entry, right? It'll keep on grinding, and that voice in your head will say, come on, get in. But again, in these pop and grind scenarios, you're almost always rewarded by waiting for that first test off that low, and then again, the breakout leg, measuring leg, that is our calculation. And the final kind of variation of this, one of my favorites, we saw it today basically, is don't be surprised here. And guys, this may go lower and then go higher. It may just go higher here. I don't know. We may go run lower and blast up from there at some point tomorrow. I don't have a crystal ball, right? All I know is in these scenarios, I know statistically where the best entries are based on what happens next. And I'm covering those for you guys every evening here on these videos. So imagine now we break out higher and we go into another trading range up here. Now, these are very easy. In fact, if you ask me, I think range marks are the easiest ones to make money with, because what do ranges do? Well, what did this one do? It likes to rotate, right? It likes to rotate up into a range, up, down, rotate back and forth. So if we understand that this range is going to want to rotate going higher, and what do previous ranges do? They are breakout pullbacks, aren't they? Right. Okay. So one way to do this is once we see a new range up here, we simply wait for a pullback underneath that trading range, use that 21 EMA in combination with a bear trap, right? Remember, don't pick the bottoms here. Trap those bears in, that bear trap, and run that sucker back up again. And remember, we know the amount below the range, the amount above the range. That will now tell us, we're not going to use measured moves. In a range environment, we'll use what we call pendulum swings, right? Or that rotation, that symmetry below and back above. So same idea, right? Same basic trade that we saw this afternoon. The only difference was today it went higher first, right? So this is always one of the more trickier parts about ranges, is that sometimes we go into a trading range, it'll run up first, right? And then crack and run lower. And like I said last night on the video and a couple times here tonight, this will feel very bearish, right? It will feel very much like a reversal. When I was a rookie, it was a reversal when I was a rookie. But once you learn how ranges work, you know it's not a reversal. It's simply a range rotation. And I can almost guarantee you right now, a lot of rookies will get caught chasing this trade here, right? So don't force the entry. Let those bears try a couple times. We saw this morning and this afternoon, right? Let them try a few times down there. Get those stops to get run, and then squeeze those stops running higher back and forth like that. So a final variation, if we do break out running higher here and get trapped into another trading range, which wouldn't surprise me at all, because we got some big news tomorrow, even bigger news coming out on Friday morning. So some great hidden bear traps off the breakout pullbacks, Which one will we get tomorrow? I don't know yet, but that's the game plan I have for tomorrow morning in our trade room. Now, speaking of tomorrow morning, don't forget the place to be, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Guys, the easiest way to start making money in these markets, come out and learn and trade along every morning at the opening bell. As always, I'll put all the important links you need in the description of the YouTube video. Start first on that free video class. You're going to love all those trade examples I include there. Then come join me in the trade room and we'll do it together. In the meantime, guys, great job today. Been a fantastic week so far. Big day coming tomorrow. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And by all means, you better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.